Anyway, I'm a head of production at a company ITV, within ITV, called Potato. It's a wholly owned label. ITV is split into loads of labels, which I'll explain in the diagram. And I'm the head of production, and here joining me is Mo Madupe, who is the most fantastic production manager, really specialises in the management of all the post-production. So when we filmed everything and it goes into all the edit houses, Mo looks after and schedules editors and the delivery, and the manages all the guys, and it is monumentally technically difficult, and she is a wizard at it, an absolute wizard. So I'm just going to share and do a little short presentation, and then I'm going to let Mo speak about her role, because what I really wanted to show you guys, Ria, thanks for your message there about creative media, television and broadcasting, just the amount of different roles you can go into in television, because people think, oh, you know, I just want to be a researcher or whatever, and actually that's just one avenue that is, and I just want to explain how it all works. And hang on a second, I'm just going to, now can you all see my presentation? If I go into present mode here. Oops. Oh gosh, it's doing this. Can you see that?
We can see
the full screen.
No, not the full screen. If you do share, if the present bit there and next to the share button, isn't that present?
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, is that better?
Yes.
Oh
yes. Perfect.
Right. So a Potato has a million. Our turnover is about 40+ million, and we make a total range. We're one of the labels within ITV, and we do things like Chase, for McCann, all those shows that you see on the screen now. A lot of labels and a lot of independents actually might just stick to one sort of genre, we call them. So they might specialise in documentary, or they might specialise in quiz, or they might specialise in game show. Potato pride itself on the fact that we do a bit of everything, and it's what makes us extremely appealing. We're about 8 years old. We were formed when way back when management decided that it would be good just to have its own label, another label, and what that does, it kind of increases competition and the sort of commissioning of the best ideas. So rather than you just have one development team, you can have many, and therefore there's inbuilt competition like that. So and with that, here we are, and we are flying at the moment. It's, as I was explaining earlier to Joanne, it's absolutely mental. Oh, where's my screen gone? Right, I just want to show you a bit of a show reel.
If you used to win some money, Dave, what would you do with that then? Travel?
I would like my bingo wings to win.
Where's the weirdest place you've had sex? I mean, with the left ear or the right ear?
Any of us could end up in this situation.
I wasn't loving myself in the way that I should.
One man spoke of a dream.
He put himself on the front line to speak up for the people that couldn't.
Both suicide and homicide are still in play.
Can you imagine ever seeing anything like this? Respect, girl.
We've been part of British history for an incredibly long time.
So that is just a range, just what we make. And this slide that I'm showing you now is just to give you a size and scale of what ITV Productions have. So all of those logos that you see are one, and there are many more labels within ITV. So, and the reason I just want to explain that to you young folk is that each of these labels has its own internship, its own, they all look for apprentices, they all look for startups at entry level, each of them are looking for those people. Potato alone in the last 2 months have taken on 5. And if you think about that, the opportunity for you all, and they all do a variety of stuff, and the other departments, such as marketing, such as news, all those, they all do those as well. And they're all available on the ITV information site. Potato has a managing director called Michael Kelpie, and this is sort of a typical organisational chart within a TV production company, whether it be us or external. You as a head of production, which is what I am. So I work very closely with Jess, who's on that far right hand side. So my role is somebody comes to me from the development team with an idea. They say to me, how much do you think it is? I work out how to make it, how to run the finances on it. And I also run the entire label from a financial point of view. So when we do a programme, there might be things that are under budget and over budget. We might have staff, we might need freelancers, and I have all that together. And I work very closely with the talent exec. So when we have an idea and we get it commissioned, Jess Wilson, who you'll all want to remember that name because she finds all the new talent, she figures out which people are going to work on the show. Now, as I was explaining, it's not just about researchers, because all those roles, you can have the production management side, which is the organisational logistics, and the editorial side, which is all your producers, series producers and APs. There are literally hundreds of them. This is a typical show structure of a show that you're all going to love when it comes out in September, called Ready to Mingle. We've just filmed it. These are just some of the roles that we've got on that show. We employed over 150 different roles on the show, from all sorts, from camera tech to post-production tech, to people who help shooting, to runners, to all sorts, to executives, and they're all freelance. And every single one of those people is extremely important to the success of the show. Before I hand over to Mo, just a quick idea, of career paths. You talk about you're going to university to do politics. I've got a degree, half a degree in pottery, so I don't know how I ended up here, but I did. And then I switched degrees and did media, and then the rest, as you can see, is history. I've worked on every single genre. I've been at ITV for nearly 30 years. There's probably nothing I haven't worked on. Worked on the massive shows like I'm a Celebrity, but my home is actual. I was really born and bred in Factual, with a very small shows. And then I'd like Mo to tell you about her path, because she is very, very interesting.
Hi guys. So for me, I grew up in, I was brought up in Nigeria, and I moved here when I was 11. So I did my GCSEs, didn't get good grades. So went to college, and I had to retake some of my GCSEs. And then once I got the grades I needed, I then did my A-levels at College of North East London. So I went to White Hart Lane School, and then went to College of North East London. Did media studies, sociology and communications. And then I went to the University of Luton and studied media performance. And I think I wanted to be in front of the camera. And it's just weird because when I was at university, I didn't really know what TV was all about. I always thought I wanted to be in front of the camera. And I think my final year I was a stage manager, and I enjoyed just organizing things and just like making sure that everyone knew what they were doing. So I decided I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind and just making sure everyone knew what they were doing. So I found it really difficult to get into TV. I applied for loads of jobs, and I think I was about to give up. I decided to get a part-time job at the university, and then I was working for a local radio station, and I applied for a job at the BBC in London, didn't get the job, and then I asked the lady if I could find out if there were any feedback about the interview, what I could do differently. And whilst we were having this feedback, I said to her, "Oh, is it all right if I come and do some work experience or do some shadowing?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's fine. You can do that." And so I did that for a month. And I don't know. Luckily, I got they gave me an office runner job, and that's how I got into television. So started as an office runner, and then made my way up as a production secretary. And then I moved over to ITV when BBC, this was all at the BBC. So I moved over to ITV when BBC Children's Department were moving to Manchester. And then that's how I built my career up at ITV. And I think there was an opportunity that came in as a post-production coordinator on The Chase. And I just loved doing post-production. I just loved the organization of things. I remember when I started the role, there was I think The Chase had I think we were on our 5th series and we're on our 14th series, so it's been going on for a long time. So when I first started in the role, it was really, everything was quite messy. So I was like, right, I need to organize this show, and I need to sort out the schedule. I need to sort out the delivery. The TX schedule basically means transmission schedule. It basically means how a show goes out in order. So like, for example, Love Island, it will have maybe, let's say 30 shows. So you have to like make sure those shows have the right numbers to go out at the right time and the dates. Yeah, I just really enjoyed and thrived off like making sure that I set out all of these schedules. I booked editors. I was lucky enough to work on Ninja Warrior UK, looking for new edit suites for the editors, going out to see the edit suites that will fit the criteria of the edit team. So yeah, no, I feel really lucky that I got the opportunity to do this role, because I thought I could only go to like I think within television you have the you have the production coordinator, production secretary, production coordinator, production manager, but like to go into the niche of like looking after the edit side of things, it's just really what I enjoy. And that's what I find about TV. If you have something that is quite different and niche, you can make it into your own. So yeah, that's what I really enjoy about television, how it's not just one thing. It's like, for me, I might, like what I said to Christina, I would like to influence children, like people, young students to like come and work in the industry, people who look like me. And just doing that, I didn't think I could come to like you guys and go, yeah, I really enjoy working in TV, and I hope that one day you can enjoy and put your passion into it as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mo. Just talk a little bit more about apprenticeships, if I may. I might come off the presentation because I think that's my last slide, if I may. If I cut that down, is that going on? Right. There we are. Hello. So I just looking briefly about in 2 months, usual for potato. Good question, Ria. Good question. So the apprenticeships, so that ties in nicely with what I'm about to tell you. So ITV have a fantastic apprenticeship scheme, which of course has been a bit odd with COVID, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm very proud of the fact that ITV have managed to run one, and all departments have them. So if you go onto there, you can see all the ones that they've done. I think I've just briefly, in fact, you've got that slide, that last slide, haven't you, Joanne, where all the different departments run the apprenticeships. But that doesn't stop anybody else running their own apprenticeship scheme. So if Potato, any other label or any other independent are looking for new talent, and let me tell you, currently, yes, they are, because the industry is mental out there at the moment. That doesn't stop them. So what happened was we did a whole apprenticeship, people from university, they're normally about 18, the ones that come for the apprenticeship. So, just a year older than you. We had thousands of applicants, and we chose one who got the job. So each label can have one that's paid for. but the competition was so, I couldn't decide. It was awful. It was keeping me awake at night. So what I decided to do, because I was looking for talent, is I made some opportunities happen for some other young people. I couldn't offer them very much, but I gave them a 5-week paid opportunity on a show, 2 people, one on Ready to Mingle and one on Celebability, they just gave them that, so they've got something to say that they did. And we would have them back. They were amazing, but I just didn't have the money to keep them on all the time. And then what happened then, we said, well, we'd like some more people, thank you very much. So we tapped into another pot of money. Let me tell you, looking for pots of money at ITV is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But so, you know, when all these schemes came up, so we did one that really focused on young people, didn't matter what age, but there were people who really probably wouldn't dream of getting into television. They would think that the fight was too hard, that it'd be a dream almost too big for them. And it really focused on that group of people. And it was absolutely wonderful because I couldn't choose. So I took 2. I managed to find another, and we've got 2 people here for a year. And they really are quite novice. And we're training them up, we're giving them opportunities, and I've split the cost because I said to split the cost, but that is because my label's doing really, really well at the moment, so they let me have another one. So it doesn't, the point I'm trying to make, it doesn't matter whatsoever if you haven't got any media experience at all or know anything about anything. It's all about you. It's if you get a chance to do an interview, or you want to even come in and meet me, or just come in and have a look around, knock on the door.
Can I just ask a question? So thank you. It's so interesting and really exciting, really hearing about the kind of growth of the industry and all the opportunities. But so Mo, I mean, obviously you had to be really quite resilient in your career progression, as in like keep going. What do you think? Yeah, because some people, like, when you get rejected, you think, oh well, I'm just going to do something else. What kept you going, do you think? Why? Because obviously you just kept persevering.
I think I was really close to giving up because I just didn't think I was going to get into the industry, because I think I applied for so many jobs, and the feedback was I wasn't getting it. I didn't have any experience, and I was like, give me the experience. And also when I did the work experience, it was unpaid, and that's quite hard because I was living with my mum and dad at the time, but I was also, so I had a part-time job. Basically, from Luton, I would come in to London, stay at my mum and dad's, because I was doing part-time. I was doing 2 other jobs basically to make it work. I just knew I wanted to work in TV. I really wanted to achieve that goal for my family, and I just kept persevering. But I think I got to the point where I thought, I'm just going to apply for a job in at the university, and I'm just going to be an admin assistant, and just I was fine with it, because I was just like, I just can't get in. And just asked, I don't know, Sophie just said, ask that lady for feedback. And I asked, I wasn't expecting to get in, and she was like, yeah, come and shadow our office runner. And luckily the office runner was going off to do another show, so he was moving up. And after my month of shadowing him, they were like, would like to offer you the job. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I think I was so close to not working in TV, and I'm glad I just got that opportunity. But I know that a lot of my friends who did media the course I did, that they just gave up. They couldn't get in, and they found it really hard.
I think also one of the things, sparing Mo's blushes, is sometimes you're not quite sure of where your skill set is, because there are so many skill sets and people. So you have the location side, and you have the studio side, and you have the post-production side, and there's all these things. And sometimes, like I thought I wanted to be an editor. I mean, there's no way I could be an editor. And you kind of go, oh God, that's where my strength is. And sometimes it does take a lot of the the starters a little while to realise. They all come in thinking they want to be a researcher.
Yeah.
And just bearing Mo's blushes, Mo is somebody who we brought in from the BBC, and we at the beginning we struggled to find where Mo's strengths were, but we knew they were there. And the minute it was like a blossoming flower, the minute we got onto the chase, it was like, well, I mean, she is, let me tell you guys, this girl is a genius.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, that's so nice. I mean, so when you think about all the starters that you've seen in your career, I mean, what makes someone stand out to you and think, actually, yeah, this person could make it? What sort of qualities and skills do you think are the most important?
I think it's interesting you ask that, because funnily enough, I always think I can tell within a few minutes of meeting somebody. It's all about, I know O-level, I'm showing my age now, GCSEs and A-levels, are they still called A-levels, are important, they are, but it's the person. And how you sell yourself and how you present yourself and the attitude and the willingness. I think a lot of young people now are a bit, but that sort of drive, it's the drive in people who just want to get on and do it. And actually a lot of the things, it's having something interesting to talk about, something else they don't do anything to do with their university, and it's just this enthusiasm. And Natasha, who just got the apprenticeship, she was just full of life. She was full of life, just really confident. Actually, I'd say confidence. You know what? It's not always the really, think TV is full of all these big characters, but we need the quiet ones as well. But it's just something. But I would say, don't be a wallflower and don't be arrogant, and you've got to have passion for what you want to do.
Yeah.
Do you think you also, thinking about the range of programs that you've worked on, Mo? I mean, I'm still traumatized by Mr. Tumble from my kids. But I mean, presumably you have to be quite, I mean, obviously there's perhaps particular genres that you want to work with, but presumably you have to be quite open and flexible about, to get that experience in the first place.
Yeah, I think definitely, because I started in children's department, and I really enjoyed working in children's department, just because it was just very different, because you had to think like a child. You had to, so like you'd have this development team and they would have this idea, and you'd be like, that sounds bonkers, that would not work. The kids would love it. You'd go to primary schools and show the ideas to the kids. And then when I started at ITV, I did a show called Britain's Best Dish, and that was completely different. It was looking after chefs, and I had to adapt, but it was just because I learned back at the BBC, like all the skills I learned is transferable to, like, even like as a post-production manager. If I said to Christina, do you know what, actually I don't want to do post anymore, I want to be a production accountant, I can do, because those skills can transfer into being an accountant, an accountant for production. So yeah, I feel like within TV it is, you can move around. Like I remember one of my friends, she went down the production coordinator route, and she decided, actually it's not for me, I don't want to be a production manager, I want to do the research, she wants to be a producer. So she went back. I think you have to step back down to do like the research and retrain yourself again. But yeah, it's nice that TV is quite flexible like that, and you can change your roles if you wanted to.
That's great. Yeah, have we got any more? I can see you've been answering a couple of the questions. So yeah, does anybody else have any questions? Either you can unmute. I think most people can now. I think Ria's typing. we're all waiting in anticipation, Ria. You're probably just saying thank you or something.
I know. I'd love to know what Ria did with the curve. What sort of things she was doing with them.
So yeah, I mean, we started working with Curve Media face to face originally. So unfortunately for Ria, when obviously this year it's been a slightly different experience. But what the students had to do, they followed a series of workshops, and then they had to put together is it a treatment? Is that what you call it? Kind of your ideas for a show. So I don't actually, Ria, I mean, I don't know, did you put together a treatment? So it was like a competition, and then hopefully in the summer or in September we'll be able to go and visit the offices and have a look. But yeah, they met kind of, you know, the CEOs and things like that. But yeah, it'd be interesting, Ria, if you did do a treatment and what your idea was for a program.
I've got like too much to say now, so I thought I might as well just speak.
You start. Okay. Thank you.
Hi. So I forgot what my question is now. Okay. So I was gonna ask, could you put back up the like list of like apprentices, I think it was, on like the last slide?
Yes, I think because the session's been recorded, I put them up. I think you've got that, haven't you? But what I can do is I can send the presentation to you, and that might be useful because it's got all the structure of a show, and all the apprentices that ITV do. In fact, there's probably more than that now because they're really going for it.
Funding, yeah. Yeah. Also, to relating to the Curve Media course, I actually found it quite interesting because, you know, I said at the beginning of this session, I'm still like, you know, I'm pretty settled on wanting to do media in the future, but it's the sort of decision between, you know, wanting to make films or wanting to make TV shows, like in the sort of, you know, like this sort of shows that Potato are making, for example. So, I mean, as helpful as this has been actually, giving insight, it's really like not helping me make a decision because like this sounds like so amazing, but you know I still would like love to make a film one day. So it's like pulling me in two different directions. But yeah,
going to go to university and do media, Ria? Is that what you're thinking?
Not really. I was more looking into the apprenticeship side of things because I don't know if uni's for me really.
Well, yeah, it doesn't, you know, I personally, I'm not I shouldn't really say that, do I, to a school? I'm not mad on the university, even though I went to university. But I don't know about film apprenticeships. I would say there's fewer of them, and the roles are very much more bespoke. I think it's a lot more fluid in television. Between the roles and of course you've got a lot more choice to go to. There's a lot of independent television, and I would say you can easily jump from television to film. I know people who have done it. I don't know if you've seen any of you know who Jeff Pope is, he does loads of documentaries. You'll see him, he comes up with loads of different dramas, and he was someone I worked with 197 years ago in television, and now he is a film guru, you know. He's just, but he made that leap.
Oh, good for him. It's quite inspiring. Maybe I'll be next.
Absolutely. If you're interested in drama, you could have a chat with you know, we've obviously got a drama department if you wanted the hybrid of the two, obviously. Yeah, that's
good question. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's just good to be, you know, it's networking, isn't it, really? I mean, you're going to meet people in the TV industry that you know will have contacts in the film industry. So it's just kind of, I guess you're just continually building your networks to get that experience.
Yeah, you are. It is, and it's quite interesting. This last traineeship was really all about people who didn't have that, who really didn't have a contact. Or, I mean, one of the girls that got it lives in, you know, with 5 people in a village in the Rhondda Valley, and she's just, you know, like a little ball of fire. She's just amazing. Yeah. It's all about you, all the opportunities you take, all the networking you do. Any other
thank you.
questions?
Yeah, thank you both of you. Yeah, any other questions? I think Lee's got a question particularly about adults and ESOL. So I guess we can answer those outside of the.
What's ESOL? Sorry, what's that?
So students who are kind of learning English, I suppose. She works with adults and some of them may be learning English. It says English for speakers of other languages. Yeah.
Yeah. What's quite interesting about that is we've had I don't know how old, but do you know what we have had, and it's very specialist within Potato. We have our own digital team, which support. ITV is a very complicated red tape place, so we couldn't be bothered with all that. We've got a bit of a maverick managing director, so we set up our own. And we actually had we've had a couple of students the last few years who have come from Portugal, and they come from a certain program, and they're very good on this sort of tech. So if you've got any students, Lee, who's very technically like on this Photoshop and TikTok and making theirs, we've got a whole department that supports our programming in that.
Okay, thank you. So I think
Angela's
typing. Couple more.
Now they're all coming now, you see.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Describe a typical day on the job. There isn't one. Quick answer.
No, have you got a typical one?
So my day can go from, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing the schedule for the following week, booking editors, and then so a horrific story comes in. Prince Philip's passed away. Right, everything stopped on TV. We need to change stuff. That is how the day will go. So yeah, it'll be like, right, we need to take that show out off the system. That show can't go out today because that show has a comment about the Queen that will be seen as inappropriate because her husband's just passed away. That needs to go. All the shows that you had that were supposed to go out next week and now out of license, you need to replace that with new shows. So yeah, that is what happens not on a day-to-day, but it can just happen like that on my day. And also as a production manager, if you're sort of organizing the studio, again, it changes so quickly. So you're like sorting out. I remember when I was a runner, I did a show called Zingzillas, and the production manager, we were building the set. Everyone was the riggers, and everyone was building the set, and all of a sudden, a guy fell, and I don't know if he broke his back, but yeah, the production manager was like, right, quick, needs to sort out. So those things, it's just like pre-thinking what could go wrong, and as soon as something goes wrong, you need to just react. So yeah, in television, your day-to-day is so different. That's what I love about TV. It's just, you can't just go, right, today is going to be like this. You just don't know. It's just, yeah, that's what I really enjoy about the job.
I mean, so when we did another school, for example, there was, he was a lawyer, and I said, well, that's great, a lawyer, because there's a whole department that do all our compliance.
Yes.
Are you allowed to say that? Can you do that? Oh, we want to sue that person. Oh, they've got an injunction on there's a whole area that does that.
Yeah.
And another one, oh, we can't say that swear word, and that's compliance, and you can't do this, and you can't have the logos, and we talk, and business affairs, how I would live without business affairs. Yeah. There's all these different areas that you couldn't do a show without them all at all. And that's when you say, what does say for my job, there isn't a single day.
That's the same.
That's the same.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
And the worst, and doing COVID, thing about COVID is you've got a whole studio show. You can't have an audience because the audiences can't sit more than 2 meters apart, less than 2 meters apart. Oh, well, the presenter, let's not name any names, Brad Walsh, won't do the show without an audience. So then dear old Mo and that team, they have to move. They have to stand down the show and move the show and set the studio up again another time when God knows whether there will be allowed audiences. That sort of thing happens all the time.
Yeah.
Also, those skills we mentioned earlier about resilience and being adaptable and flexible, I mean, they just kind of carry on, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Angela here. So media students with ESOL skills have found work by volunteering or getting paid work with media, film and production companies from their heritage countries, with the London office who are looking for people with good English skills. Okay, yeah, so that's related to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's, if you've got a skill and it's useful, we'll have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I don't think there's anything else, but thank you so much, Christina and Mo, for giving up time. And so we have recorded this, so we will make sure that more students see this at all 3 college sites. It's been a really useful insight. That's my doorbell going now. Yeah, so thank you ever so much, and let's hope we can continue working with you at the college.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
No worries. Bye.